Welcome to Misa Field at Robert Stadium for this evening's contest between the Wolfpack from North Carolina State and your Princeton Tigers. Let's meet the starters. First, for the visitors from NC State. A junior midfielder from Sicklerville, New Jersey, number 2, Ciara King. A junior defender from Poland, Germany, number 3, Chrissy Schuster. A senior defender from San Diego, California, number 4, Hannah Keogh. A freshman defender from Gainesville, Virginia, number 5, Jenna Butler. A sophomore defender from Belgrade, Germany, number 6, Lulu Gutenberger. A junior midfielder from Friedrichsbach, Germany, number 7, Vicky Walken. A junior forward from Bowie, Maryland, number 8, Kia Rankin. A senior forward from Somerville, New Jersey, number 9, Maxine Blackwood. A senior midfielder from San Diego, California, number 14, Taylor Porter. A junior midfielder from Raleigh, North Carolina, number 21, Paige Griffiths. And in goal for NC State is a senior from San Diego, California, number 12, Sydney Wooten. Tim Santoro is NC State's coach. He is assisted by Glenn Torville, Steve McKenna, and Justin Bryant. And now the starting lineup for your Princeton Tigers. A junior midfielder from Glen Ridge, New Jersey, number 2, Tommy Kennedy. A freshman midfielder from Highlands Ranch, Colorado, number 3, Caroline Noonan. A freshman forward from Tustin, California, number 15, Gabby Juarez. A junior forward from Charlotte, North Carolina, number 16, Abby Gibbons. A freshman midfielder from Clinton, New York, number 17, Emma Davis. A junior defender from Delta, British Columbia, number 18, Olivia Shepard. A senior forward from Dallas, Texas, number 19, Mimi Assad. A sophomore defender from Hingham, Massachusetts, number 22, Eve Hewins. A sophomore forward from Buena Park, California, number 25, Tatum G. A sophomore defender from San Diego, California, number 27, Lucy Riferson. And in goal for the Orange and Black is a junior from Woodbridge, Ontario, number 1, Natalie Grossi. Sean Driscoll is Princeton's coach. He is assisted by Mike Culver, Jamie Kranich, and Allison Navatoff. Ladies and gentlemen, at this time, we ask that you please rise and join us for the singing of our national anthem, performed today by Paul Voorhees.
Oh, say can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous
Go. Yeah. Oh, really? Okay, sure. I'll give it like 15 seconds. Yep. Labor Day weekend is here, and a top 20 matchup between the NC State Wolfpack and the Princeton University Tigers is on deck here on the Ivy League on ESPN. Good evening, everyone. Welcome inside Meislich Field at Roberts Stadium in Princeton, New Jersey, alongside former NCAA soccer player Renee Washington. I'm Jeff O'Connor as the Tigers, the number 20 team in the country, meeting up with NC State, the number 13 team in the country. What should be a fun one, an early season matchup. And Renee, we saw these two teams last year, very similar situation early in September. Last year, Tigers got the best of them in North Carolina, and they also beat them in the NCAA tournament. We'll get to that shortly as well. But these two teams now meeting up for the third time in a span of 12 months.
Yeah, and these two teams definitely have some history now. To meet so quickly in a span of a year, that does make it tough. So now when you're facing each other, you recognize names and faces, and it does change the game a lot.
Give you the starting lineups here as we get underway for NC State. On defense, Chrissy Schuster, as well as Hannah Keogh, Jenna Butler, and Lulu Gutenberg. In the midfield is Taylor Porter, Paige Griffiths, and Ziara King, and Richie Walkling. And up front is Kia Rankin, Maxine Blackwood, and in goal is Sydney Wooten, the senior goalkeeper from San Diego, California. So far this year for Wooten, she's put together some nice numbers. 3 goals allowed so far in 5 games, a .56 goals against. She's 4-0-1 on the season with a .727 save percentage as the ball lands in the NC State side of the field. It's held onto by the aforementioned Wooten. For the Princeton Tigers, on the back line, a little bit of a shake-up in the lineup. Lucy Rikerson, Eve Hewins, Olivia Shepard are the backliners. In the midfield, it's Emma Davis, Caroline Noonan, Tommy Kennedy. And up front, a bevy of forwards for head coach Sean Driscoll. Tatum G, as well as Mimi Assam, Gabby Juarez, and Abby Gibbons. And in goal is Natalie Grassi, who just pitched her 18th shutout of the season on Friday, as the Tigers picked up their 3rd straight victory of the season. Grassi, a junior from Woodbridge, Ontario, so far this year. 3 games played, all of them shutouts, hasn't allowed a goal, has only had to make 9 saves. She's 3-0 after the Tigers defeated St. Joseph's on Friday night to move to 3-0. Neither of these teams have a loss on their ledger so far this season. NC State 4-0-1 in their out-of-conference matchups, and the Tigers have won all 3 of theirs. Tigers working in their own end of the field, and they'll pick it up and march it the other way. Here's Mimi Assam, far side of the pitch, trying to play that one through, and it's cut off by the NC State defense before it pinballed right back for the Tigers. Fed back door, here's Juarez. Juarez tried to cut it to the middle, but fended off well and pushed out to the sideline, and it can be held on to by the Wolfpack.
Yeah, and this is a great early game in the season. Both teams obviously coming into this game undefeated, but to have a top 20 matchup like this early in the season, get that experience under your belt, it's a great test for both of your teams.
Tigers looking to push through here. On the sideline, it can't be held in. And the ball will go back to NC State. One went off the foot of Abby Gibbons. Right in the middle of the field. And the Wolfpack will push this one along. This one's fed up the far side. Out of the reach of Lucy Rikerson, and Grassi will take it. Now for the Tigers, a little bit of a shake-up in their starting lineup. A couple more forwards to start things off. Eve Ewens, who came on in the middle of the game yesterday, gets the start on the back line, and Tatum G pushes up to the front after she had begun last night's game, or Friday's game, on the defensive side of things. That one's held onto by Richie Walkling, and the midfielder from Germany will work it all the way back to her own back line. That one went off of Juarez, and last touched by Princeton. Walkling. They play catch in tight quarters, moving that ball rapidly. The back line for the Wolfpack as Wooten will take it.
Yeah, and already you see we have two similar teams in how they play. NC State, much like Princeton, looking to be patient, working the ball around, even finding Wooten to switch the field. That's a lot like how the Tigers look to play and just possess the ball. So it's definitely going to be a similar game with these two and how they match up.
This one's pushed up the field. Grassi out of her cage. She'll have to boot it away. She will. That will land on the field of play and projected out of bounds. Went off the Wolfpack player last. Abby Givens had the body position there. Our officials for this evening's contest, our assistant referees are Rob Caramano and Nicholas Zegatowski, and our referee is Mike DeFelice. 77 degrees here at game time. Lights are on, clouds are overhead. There was a storm in the area about an hour and a half ago, but the field seems to have soaked up most of it thanks to it being a little bit humid outside, even though it's 77 degrees here at game time. Now been punched out of bounds, and Wolfpack will take the ball. We're just about 5 minutes in. Two teams met up last year, as mentioned, several times. They met down in NC State a year ago to the day. It was September 2nd, 2017, down in North Carolina. The Tigers picked up a 2-0 victory in that game. It was Mimi Assam who struck first, scored in the 21st minute. Michaela Samanovich, who recently graduated, scored in the 55th minute. And that was it in the contest. Tigers won that one 2-0. They chased tonight's starting goalkeeper, Sydney Wooten, after allowing that goal. She was replaced by Grayson Cameron. And the Tigers dominated that game down in NC State.
Yeah, that was really a game that put them on the map even more. To go down there and beat a top 20 team and then also get into the national rankings themselves, it really put them as a team that everybody was on the lookout for. So it was only ironic that they met up again in the NCAA tournament and was able to knock them off and even have a bigger stage with reaching UNC.
Assam right on top of Butler, who heard the footsteps, and the Tigers will get a toss in just outside the attacking third. Tigers won that game 2-0. They were outshot by NC State 15-7, but the Tigers got the better of the opportunities. NC State was ranked 20th at the time. Princeton unranked, as Renee mentioned. That kind of got them going there in the early part of the season. Tigers started off last year 6-0, and they've got their first 3 wins under their belt here in 2018. Of course, they met in the NCAA tournament. NC State was number 21. Princeton was number 13. And that game went to penalty kicks. Caroline Davidson scored in the 66th minute. Ziara King, who's a New Jersey native, still on the squad and is one of their big performers. We'll talk about her more as we go along here. She scored in the 82nd minute. And that brought the game to penalty kicks, and the Tigers fell behind the 8 ball early. Assam missed on her first penalty. And the Tigers at one point were trailing 4-2. Hilliard Arce scored. Emily Hilliard Arce, who's not in the starting lineup, was yesterday. Scored to keep it alive. And then a miss that came from Chrissy Schuster, which could have put the game away for NC State, opened the door for Tommy Kennedy to score. That made it 4-4 after the original 5 shooters went. And then it was Caroline Davidson, after a few misses on both sides, who buried it and sent the Tigers through to the next round of the NCAA tournament. And here they are, exactly 1 year later, meeting up for the 3rd time. A little bit of back and forth, cat and mouse here to start. That one out of bounds, and Princeton will get a deep throw. Played short. Kennedy pestered. Fed it up the chalk for Givens. Nice hesitation move. Creates some space. And leaves it back for Kennedy. Long drive. Skips all the way through. Headed towards Cage, and Wooten had to wait an eternity for that one to come down, but she finally grabs it. Just about 8 minutes gone by here first half.
And Gabby Wars is such a presence in the box. She has the ability to get in behind, but even as you see there competing for that head ball, I know the referee had called her off sides and let it play, but she contests everything in the box and is always a dangerous factor for Princeton up top.
Juarez, who spent her summer playing in the U20 World Cup, played for Mexico, came on as a second half sub 3 times in the tournament as the Tigers push this one forward. Backdoor pass for Assam, way out of the cages. Wooten drawn away. Assam holding on to it and finally had that attempt deflected. And Wooten has it land over her head. She'll grab it. And the Tigers starting to find a little bit of synergy. That ball's been around Wooten a few times now.
Good idea there by Assam to try to get that extra touch. Unfortunately, an NC State defender tracked back nicely to be able to get the tackle and allow Wooten to reset her feet on the goal line. But already in just over 10 minutes into the game, you see these two teams are picking it up a notch.
Butler will feed it all the way back, and NC State will try and reverse field. Lashed forward. Several white jerseys there, but it lands for the Wolfpack. Spinning out of trouble is Maxine Blackwood. And the Wolfpack will try and build it up again. Long ball. Up the field, off the head of Rikerson. Stays in the field of play, and now Rikerson with some more time and space. Up for Assam, able to handle it in the midfield, but she's caught from behind. Excellent play by Taylor Porter to free up that ball for the Wolfpack. This one sifts all the way through and over the chalk line. Well, Tigers have not allowed a goal this season, as we mentioned at the top. As we get a quick whistle here. And a restart of play coming momentarily. Tigers will throw it in. It's the sixth time in Princeton history they've posted 3 straight shutouts to start the season. They did it last year in that 6-game winning streak. The first 5 games, they posted shutouts, and looking to duplicate that and move closer to that here to start 2018. Did it in 2013 as well, 01, 2000, and 98. It's happened 6 times now in the last 2 decades for Princeton. That ball out of bounds, and NC State on the move. They'll get a throw in.
Yeah, that is very impressive, Jeff. And as we talked about Friday, it's a testament to their defending as a team. You see, as soon as they lose the ball, they're relentlessly working to keep their opponents into that space and win it back. They do a great job of that, hunting the ball.
Looking for King. Tigers line that one up well. Looked like Ewens who made the play on that one, and it's volleyed out to the sideline. And Akio knocked it forward. Good runs late by Ewens to at least stifle the play. And it's killed out of bounds. It'll be taken by the Wolfpack. Blackwood able to pivot away twice nicely and retains possession of the ball. Taken away, though. Juarez stepped in front of that one. And Olivia Shepard knocked that one forward. Off ahead, hoping for Givens, and now it's driven all the way back for Wooten. About a dozen gone by here first half. We are scoreless. It was Mimi Assam who opened the scoring last night for Princeton. Or Tommy Kennedy, I should say. Scored about 7 minutes in, and then Assam added 2 goals later on throughout the duration of the game. She's got 4 on the season now. This one volleyed back and forth, and finally it runs out of bounds. So far this year for NC State, they've limited their goals. Played in 5 games, allowed just 3 goals. They shut out Penn last night, Friday I should say, by a score of 1-0. It was Ziara King. She scored in the 3rd minute, and there wasn't anything the rest of the game as they held on across the river over in Philadelphia. Yeah, not much space out there here early in this one as the Wolfpack work from their own back end. All the way through, spun free by Rankin, who just got named the ACC Offensive Player of the Week. Scored 2 goals dating back to last week. She was coming off an injury, and she's been an integral part of this offense. As NC State, who's, of course, we mentioned last year, but they made the tournament the year before. Back-to-back NCAA tournament appearances, something they hadn't done since the mid-90s. And Tim Santoro's done a great job turning that program around. This one's fed way out in front of Assam, and she can't catch up to it as Wooten will drive it away. Tim Santoro, this is his 6th season as the head coach of NC State. Spent several years as an associate coach with Wake Forest, also at the College of Charleston. Played at Catawba College, Division II ranks, and is a local product. Way down the road, but in the late 80s, played for Cumberland High School in the southern part of New Jersey. And his best player is Ziara King.
Yeah, and Santora has done a great job with this Wolfpack team. I mean, Ziara King, a Jersey native herself, has been a really big game changer for them. Right now, we haven't actually seen her get the ball too much for NC State, but they do have a number of players that at any moment can be dangerous, including Rankin, as you mentioned, Ziara King, and a few others.
King, who's also, like Santora, a South Jersey product, played for Winslow High School from Sicklerville, New Jersey, also in the southern part of the state. Has put together a heck of a career, and she's only halfway through it. Number 2 in gray. First team All-ACC last year. 4th in the nation in goals. She had 17, 40 points. That was good enough for 5th in the country. The lower part of your screen right now, number 2. Trying to work that ball up the field. The Tigers have just been pestering at every angle. Assam breaks free, fires for the far post, and she missed it by a hair. And out of bounds it goes.
And in a game like this, all you need is a half chance like that, where the ball takes a funny bounce to land on the foot of a goal scorer like Mimi Assam to make the difference. Unfortunately, it spun just wide of the far post, but those are the chances that both teams are going to look to try to capitalize on.
Boy, the Tigers are giving no room for these NC State forwards and midfielders to breathe anytime that ball creeps near midfield. And they've had a lot of the better of play here for, say, the last 10 minutes or so. And they'll get the ball now and set things up. Station of players waiting at the top of the 18. Lucy Rikerson waits to approach the ball. The sophomore from San Diego drops the hand and lets it fly. Deep ball, headed, and out of trouble. And here is Ziara King. Has not touched the ball much, as Renee mentioned. Way away from the goal. She'll ride it with the left foot, but plenty of white jerseys in the neighborhood. Instead, Grassi will take it, allow it to come back to her 18, and she'll scoop it up. Now, NC State forcing a little bit of pressure. And something on Friday, Renee, we didn't see much of, really, when the Tigers had the ball on their own defensive side of the field. St. Joe's really didn't push up much. They were focused more on structure in the midfield and really didn't force the Tigers in any tough decisions.
Yeah, definitely. You see, St. Joe's had one forward up top, NC State pressuring with at least 2 and trying to push their midfielders high up the field. Unfortunately, when they do win the ball right now, it doesn't seem like they're able to combine and connect off of their forwards, which leaves them trying to hold balls up with no options to pass to. So I don't know if they'll make an adjustment, but with 2 forwards pressuring their Tigers back 4, that does make a huge difference.
NC State trying to work out of their own end here. Now finally a little bit of real estate. This one's head forward. Blackwood hounded by the Tiger defense. This one's slipped through the midfield. Driven forward. The hope is for King. Hewins marked her up well. Now has some space as she pivots to the middle. Backdoor feed. Long run. NC State looking for something. And a couple of bodies back together. And Rikerson able to separate woman from ball. And the Tigers have possession again before it's given away in the middle of the field. And back to NC State.
And you see there's the difference. Hannah Keogh gets up as a left back for NC State. King is able to find her in an overlapping run, and they're able to create a chance. Great defensively by Rikerson there to get her body in between the ball and the NC State forward. But that's what the Wolfpack is going to have to do if they want to put more pressure on the Tigers' back line.
Rikerson, number 27 for Princeton. Their main center back. Last year started 16 of 17 games and was just excellent on her side of the field. Gobbled up a lot of minutes, got better as the season went on, as that one nearly found its way through as Assam was cutting up the seam. Juarez with the vision there from distance and didn't miss by much.
Princeton doing a great job of looking to find their weak side forward from Juarez to Assam, or the other way around, catching NC State's opposite outside back, possibly sleeping. That could be trouble if they don't keep their toes and head on a swivel.
Filtered across, the Tigers put the pressure on. Another errant pass picked up by Princeton. That one popped high in the air off a deflection. Should be a corner, and it'll be our first one of the game. Tigers will take it as we come up on 19 minutes gone by here in half number 1. Tommy Kennedy will take it. She opened the scoring last night. Her first goal of the season after not punching in a goal all of last year in her sophomore year. Opportunity here for Princeton to strike. Wide of the 6, bounces all the way through, and NC State can recover and clear it, but not away from the Tigers altogether, as Ewens will pop it right back into the 18. That one batted around. Assam got her body on it. Might have been someone off sides in the mix there, though, and it'll go back to the Wolfpack.
And Friday night, it was Kennedy's shanked corner kick, so to speak, out of bounds that led her to score just the next play. So let's see what happens after this one.
It was from that near side of the field. With no one in front of her, she hit the actual netting on the cage. Looked like a big blown opportunity, but then, yeah, not long after that, through ball came through the 18 and she slammed it home. The Tigers never looked back, didn't concede a goal, and held on to win 3-0. Tigers certainly have had the better of play. They've had NC State back on their heels a little bit.
Yeah, they're definitely doing a much better job of creating passing options, moving off the ball to get into those passing lanes, and that's something NC State is struggling with right now.
Grassi gives that one away. Tigers hustle back, though. Good job by Caroline Noonan, but it's stripped off her foot immediately. Couple of moves in the midfield, and finally it's who else? Rikerson, who steps in and once again separates ball from player. And the Tigers control it. Rikerson, just a sophomore. She plays like a senior who's been an all-conference player her whole career. That's how good she's been. Really since, what, the middle of last year.
Yeah, she's lights out back there. She's a solid defender, great presence, and reads the ball well, as you see her getting a head on it there.
Extremely active thus far, and that one knocked away from Kennedy. And the Wolfpack try and start over as it's fed back by Taylor Porter. Ewens, great read, stepped in front of King, and on she goes. Eve Ewens lays it forward neatly and off the side of the foot of Juarez, short of the chalk, and the Wolfpack keep it in the field of play. King picks up steam. Blackwood leaves it behind for her. King sizing it up, able to slip by her opponent. That was Davis all the way through, and Grassi was in the right spot. Well, you see, as much as NC State hasn't really built anything, you can see when they have just a semi-substantial amount of time, they can string some passes together and look rather dangerous, as Assam will leave it wide for Juarez.
Yeah, they definitely look to do a good job of finding their higher forwards. It's just very straight and almost predictable at times offensively for NC State.
Walkling ahead, Grassi comes out and fires it away, or else there would have been danger coming down on the 18.
And that's exactly what they're looking to do. Find their forwards, streaking into those open gaps, play them through and go off from there.
That was Kia Rankin, who was lurking in the Tiger end of the field. The Tigers have had to work and really possess the ball, whereas NC State, they've had some rapid movements and some quick hitting passes that have nearly broken down this Tiger defense. About midway through the first half, we are scoreless here in Princeton, New Jersey. Number 20, Princeton Tigers. Number 13, NC State Wolfpack, a rematch of the NCAA tournament last year. Game the Tigers won. Went all the way to the quarterfinals of last year's tournament before they bowed out against UCLA. Hewens just stapling King there, and legally, as the Tigers have the ball again. Assam will feed it along. Caught from behind by King, who's had to work a lot in her own end of the field for a forward. This one's all the way back for Wooten. Mentioned Wooten got yanked in that regular season game. She's bared down on here. Assam steps free and flicks it home. She scored in all 4 Princeton games. Tigers draw first blood, 1-0 Princeton. Her 5th goal of the season. And she has been on fire here in her senior year.
A goal every game, that definitely is a confidence booster for her, and knowing that she's been able to help her team by getting them on the scoreboard. But that's that half chance that we talk about, Jeff. They high press them in their own 6 area, able to put pressure on them, force the NC State back to make an errored pass, and it's a goal.
Brought back the other way, backdoor feed. Here come the Wolfpack inside the 6. Fed to the outside, and they score immediately. And just like that, we mentioned it, although NC State hadn't really put a lot of substance together, there was signs that they were starting to find creases in this Tiger defense, and they respond immediately.
What a way to pick your teammates up after giving up a goal like that, to come back and score just seconds later. That was about 20 seconds later, Jeff. Blackwood had good patience in the box to hold that ball up and find an overlapping player to finish. Great response there by NC State. Now we've got a real game here. 1-1.
Wow. Tigers sailing out of bounds back to the Wolfpack, and there is a substantial amount of NC State fans who made the trip, obviously, on Friday. Not too far of a trip from Philadelphia to get here in a span of 2 days. And they've shown up in force as Assam tries to steer that one to the outside. And the Wolfpack able to play it away. We're going to get a number on the goal here momentarily. We'll pass along the score when it comes through our press box. Well, in the meantime, as we recover here from the quick 2-goal spurt, Mimi Assam, the goal, time of it, 22:46. And the assist to Abby Givens. And for Assam, moving up some of the all-time rankings in Princeton history, 36 goals now. That moves her into a tie for 5th place with Jen Hoy, who graduated in 2013 with 36 career goals. And for Assam, career points 79 and 80. She is now alone in 7th place, passing Diana Matheson, who graduated in 2008. And she's 2 points away from Lauren Lazo, 82 points. She sits in 6th. Lazo, a recent graduate, 2015.
I think that's back-to-back fouls on Tatum G on the left side there, as she gets caught a little flat-footed, and then the referee calls her for the foul. But here we are again with NC State right outside the 18 with a free kick.
Boy, very sound match thus far. Both teams taking advantage of opportunities. Picking apart a weakness, a seeming weakness for both sides. The Tigers able to poke that away. Hammered all the way to the other side. That's Ziara King. Neat move around with some space. Stepping on through by a second. Picking her way through. What a stop crossing. Boy, finally Ziara King somewhere near the 18. This time well deep inside of it. Smoothly stepped around a pair of Tiger players, but Grassi did enough to cut down the angle and then the reflexes as well to thwart the opportunity.
She almost made that look easy, Jeff, dribbling through defenders and their own 18. That's trouble there.
Give Tim Santoro a lot of credit. His team hit that counterattack immediately, and then moving King, we'll see how if she starts to rove or not, but King had been stationed on the left side. That time she was on the right side. And the Tigers, perhaps unprepared for it or just good execution, created an unbelievably prime opportunity. The official goal scored by Hannah Keogh. Time of the goal, 23:05. As Renee said, 19 seconds apart. Keogh, her first goal of the season for the senior from San Diego, California. Here they come again. Driving right through. Rikerson can't thwart her. Quick shot, a chip over the cage and a bit wide as well.
If I'm
That was
Princeton,
Blackwood.
I'm making an adjustment. I mean, the goal that NC State scored was just a couple of minutes ago, and already you see that they've gained some momentum. They've got the confidence. Defensively, they're locked down right now, and offensively creating a lot of trouble for the back line of Princeton.
We have not seen a substitution yet on either side, and we're nearly a half hour into this one. And as much as the Tigers were dominating not that long ago, NC State has every ball near the 18. Fed just wide of King. Good intercept by Ewens. Might have been a mislocated pass as well, but Hewins was in the right spot nonetheless, and that strips away a potential chance for NC State. This is starting to feel like a hockey game the way the chances are going up and down the field here, more so than a soccer match.
This is exciting stuff, definitely.
Wooten will settle it down. King, Hewins on top of her, nearly tripped on the ball. King pivots away from a pair, wants to reverse field. Plenty of real estate on the far side of the pitch. Nearly out of bounds. Suarez took a shot in the face inadvertently as she cleared that ball away, and this ball's going to go back to NC State.
Yeah, she looks a little shaken up after that one. Definitely was a hard hit there.
She went down, and the Wolfpack player just happened to have her forearm in that spot. Here come the Wolfpack again, fed into the middle. Tigers trying to clear that with Shepard, who stopped it first, but not out of trouble. Pounded back through. Quick shot. Blackwood, another save, Grassi. And Natalie Grassi is the only reason this game is in 3-1 NC State right now.
She definitely has her work cut out for her. I mean, she just gave up her first goal of the season just moments ago. But you see, it hasn't affected her at all. She made 2 great saves.
Tigers' shutout streak ends at 293 minutes and 5 seconds. An impressive start to the season as we're squared up 1 apiece. Tough ball, and that one hit the top of the net over the cage. Boy, NC State is humming right now. The Tigers looking to survive and hang on.
And you think about when a team scores, the momentum and confidence that comes around that, but within that 20 seconds from Princeton's goal to NC State's goal, it's been the Wolfpack that have actually stepped up tremendously and have definitely had the better of play ever since their goal.
They've changed the scoring on the goal. No longer Keogh's goal. It's Paige Griffiths, with Keogh assisting Griffiths her first goal of the season. The midfielder from Raleigh, the junior, ended up finishing that play. Knocked away, and the back line for NC State has played a little bit more efficient as well. They're going to get the ball back here off a foul. Can the Tigers ramp it back up again and find something? Even though it hasn't been a long time, the last few trips up and down the field, the defense has been attacked and nearly exploited, and the offense hasn't found much rhythm. And everything looks out of sorts here just for the moment. Played wide. Kennedy trying to strip that one free, and does. Kennedy. On the outside of the 18, got it through for Assam, has options, elects to lay it off. One more pass. Taken on by Givens, who's dangerous. Givens, a quick fake, steps inside, outside, and then lost control of it. Boy, she nearly made a highlight. Real few moves there before letting it go, and she has to leave it back. King, down to the turf. Ewens sidesteps her. Tried to flick it through, but it's cut off. King now back on top of it. And leaves it wide of Givens before it's driven up the field. Shepard. Rikerson will catch up to it.
Princeton looks like they're finally settling back in. They're regaining some composure and possession on when they have the ball. Definitely playing themselves back into it.
And not that both teams looked a little bit fatigued, but I think just that adrenaline draining 10 minutes exchange of chances has sapped a little bit of perhaps the pep in the step on both sides as we look to rev things up here again. Assam. Couple of moves, tried to drive it through near the flag. Bodies collide. Ball went out of bounds. A few Tigers are starting to pack the box, so looks like it's going to be a corner kick, but there is a player down on the far side of the field at the flag where that collision was, as an NC State player is being tended to. It was Kennedy who was part of that collision. She's up and okay. And she also checks on the injured player. Training staff out there for the Wolfpack.
Well, you talk about that adrenaline rush and the kind of hitting a wall after that. This might be, I mean, you hate to see a player down, of course, but this does give both teams a chance to kind of get themselves together, discuss some things, get some water, which is much needed at a high, quick 10 minutes like that.
13:51, clock is stopped. Recap the scoring summary. It was Assam, her 5th goal of the season, from Abby Givens at 22:46, 23:05. 19 seconds later, Paige Griffiths got her 1st of the season. And that's where we stand currently. Give you some other stats and updates here, as they continue to check on the injured player. Haven't been able to get a number just yet. Shots attempted, 5-4 in favor of NC State. The shots on goal, also the edge to the Wolfpack, 3-2. Both sides have had a corner thus far. Fouls, 6-2 Princeton. They've taken a majority of them. There's been 1 offsides in the game. That was against the Tigers. 2 saves for Natalie Grassi, 1 save for Sydney Wooten. Training staff now has the injured player up to a sitting position. And Kennedy still in the neighborhood wearing the white and orange uniform. Assam was there as well, and after she tried to drive it through her opponent, trying a quick centering pass. The ball landed near the flag. And Kennedy and the Wolfpack player coming from different angles end up smashing into each other.
Yeah, those are always tough plays. I mean, quick tackles back to back. The defender there just trying to keep the ball out of her own box, away from being a corner kick and clear it. Not sure what happened there, but at least they're getting it off the field now.
And looks like it was Lulu Gutenberger, number 6, who was working in her own defensive end of the field, the sophomore from Velberg, Germany, who took the hit there and is being carried off the field, but not towards the locker room. So they'll work on her off to the side.
It's a little scary they're not able to get her to move her any more than that. I mean, that must be pretty serious, whatever's going on.
Gutenberg, who was a big part of that season last year, mentioned NC State going to a pair of tournaments. She was on the all-freshman team in conference last year. A sailing shot lands on top of the cage on the try by Kennedy. Gutenberger came up through the popular German soccer club, the Bayern Munich Academy, and came here as a freshman last year. Considered one of the top freshman players in the country.
Yeah, Bayern Munich does a great job developing their players at the youth level. So she's a player that NC State will definitely miss on the back line for the rest of this game until she can get back.
This one sailed through. King volleys it, but it's errantly sitting out there. Nice job. Good hustle play there by Olivia Shepard, who saw some minutes yesterday, but it was more in a midfield role. She's dropped to the back line here tonight. King will run against Ewens, and then offsides call. Boy, that's a tough assignment. Of course, it's normally always going to be the case. You're going to have your best defenders are going to be your center backs when you have to go top forward against outside back. Certainly a tough challenge. You're asking a lot from that position. But
Yeah.
Ewens has handled it relatively well so far. King has sprung free a few times, but early on, the first 20 minutes, King didn't really touch the ball, so it's gone back and forth between those two. That's one of the matchups we're looking at tonight. Blackwood able to stash it through. Played through, and Rikerson can guide it barely to the 18, and now finally out to the midfield as Kennedy picks her way around a few gray shirts. And away go the Tigers. Juarez pops that one way forward. Ball rolls free and out of the back line of the Wolfpack. Here is King. Tigers being careful with her. Assam was in pursuit of Keogh, who assisted on that first goal. Tigers trying to force that ball free, which is exactly how we saw their score their first goal. They forced the backliners of NC State into some poor decisions.
Yeah, and you see the backline of NC State almost over-possessing at times, underestimating the pressure that the Tigers' forward line is putting on them, and that's how they caused that goal that Princeton was able to score.
Givens forced it free, and then Assam walked it essentially right inside the 6. Juarez. Hop, skip, and a jump out of trouble. And laid to the sideline. Out of the reach of a cutting Kennedy. And now subs waiting to check on it. Really, this is rare sight. Normally, we saw yesterday, outside of the goalkeeper position, there was 10 starters, and Sean Driscoll, the head coach for Princeton, got 8 reserves mixed into the field. They ran out 18 players, non-goaltenders, in the game yesterday. Now they've got a few waiting to check in a moment's notice.
Yeah, and this game is more like an NCAA tournament type game, so I'm not that surprised that the...
Oh. Few extra touches by NC State, and another foul call against the Tigers. That one may be a little bit more touchier as Noonan gets flagged for it. Now waiting for the ball to come back to the middle of the field for the official restart. Ewens nearly picked the pocket. I believe that was Taylor Porter who had the ball. Keogh pops it forward. King. Hewens on top of her. Played once more through. Blackwood. Keogh steps into it. Tried to leave it to the side, but Hewens stepped in front of it. And we have an offsides call, it looks like. Or was there a foul? Hewens might have been bumped. The Tigers dig their heels in at their own 18 and stop the progress of NC State. Ball back to Princeton.
Yeah, a lot of whistles there in a short amount of time, which kind of makes the game stop a lot more and messes up team's momentum. But NC State trying to get something going there, getting forward, and getting their outside backhand Keogh forward.
Batted around. Tigers get it free. Givens alone for a moment. Big shot, save Wooten. And the rebound comes to the side of the net. Goes over the goal line for a goal kick. And after we saw Grassi make some dazzling saves in the first part of the half, Wooten makes her best one yet.
Great save there by Wooten, and you saw she popped right back up and was ready for the rebound as 2 Tiger players were running on her to try to get it across for a shot. And Wooten was ready right there on her line.
So with that, we will get our substitutions. A few Tiger players jump on the field. One of them, Halima Matthews, number 9 for Princeton. Also, Sophia Galati is on the field. Samantha McDonough as well. Juarez, Davis, and Givens off for Princeton. Anna Tui and Michaela Van Manen come on for Blackwood and Rankin. So the few of the top forwards for NC State will get a breather here. Assam punches it. Matthews had a step, driving through, and Wooten's out to cover it. Matthews nearly busted free, fresh into the game. As Assam, who can create, normally the finisher, nearly created something there.
Yeah, and that's the perks of getting some fresh legs in there, and NC State still has their back line in, except for the one, Lulu, who went out with an injury. So some fresh legs to run at them will help in these last 7 minutes.
Quick touch. And not able to play through was Van Manen, who was quickly into the contest. Tigers can look to push. Noonan, who was very active in last night's game in spurts. Tigers slow pace down. Hewens, King on top of her quickly. Matthews keeps it alive at the chalk. Left foot on a hop just out of the reach of Assam. And Wooten will take care of it. So we're under 7 to go. Griffiths for NC State, her first. Assam for Princeton, her 5th. And that's the goal scoring thus far. This one bouncing through the midfield. Big drive forward off the foot of Walkling. Several white jerseys there to take it, though. The Tigers can possess. Out of bounds, though. A little bit too far in front, and a throw-in on the Princeton side of the field for the Wolfpack. Laid all the way to the back line. Tigers in pursuit. Going to hunt down another ball. Wooten trying to cross the field a bit. King will drop it back. Stepping up into the play is Keogh. And a Keogh. Hewen steps up, lays it nicely in front for King. King on the run. Looking to step right around Rikerson. Played through, off a foot, batted towards Cage. Tigers getting the way of it. And it's lashed up the field. Matthews trying to hunt it down. Laid into the middle. Taken on by Griffiths, the goal scorer, Keogh. Couple of skipping moves. Laid it on a cross. One-on-one play there, and the Tigers get the better of it. Galati out of her reach. Ewan steps up on King. I should say that's Caroline Davidson who made the play there. Far side of the field, pushed out of bounds.
And you see as Keogh gets forward, it forces Eve Hewins to have to step up and defend her, pulling the Tigers' back line out of shape a little, and now the matchup is King on a center back versus an outside back. So that's something that NC State is looking to do to isolate King and get her forward. So now it's one player to beat, and she's into goal.
Played short. And into the midfield. Popped over the top of everyone. Didn't hear a whistle or a flag. Now the flag comes out. Tigers are going to throw as that ball didn't bend around the chalk. Batted around. A few gray shirts in front of it. Fed into the middle. King. Nice play at the last moment. That's Ewens again.
Ewens has been doing a great job defensively. She just disrupts. She does enough to get her foot on it and break up NC State's passing options.
Played short. Porter leaves it back. Thrusted forward once more by Butler. They'll try the opposite side. Walkling works the sideline, but too far. Under 4 minutes to go here. After a red-hot start in the middle of the half, we've started to quiet things down a bit. As both teams utilizing a little bit more discipline, trying to be a little bit tighter in their own end of the field. This one batted around. Pried loose, only momentarily. King plays for Keogh, and Aaron pass, though. Tigers chopped that one down easily. Matthews nearly overran it. A little bit of trouble. Grassi feels some pressure and boots it away. Wolfpack on the intercept. Into the middle, bounced off a body. Grassi will come out and scoop it up. 2:45 to go here, first half. And looking to move it quickly, Matthews. King hunts her down. And forced to start over. All the way back for Grassi. Tigers a little bit staggered in their own end. Assam can't receive it neatly. She was pinched a little bit there by Butler. Played wide, but nobody home on the Wolfpack side. Tigers trying to open it up. Long run up the field in front of Assam, but she jumps back on top of it. Assam wants to spread the field. Able to get it all the way wide. Galati. Galati towards Cage. A little bit of a knuckler, and Wooten handles it on a hop.
And you see in these final minutes, both teams with some fresh legs in that are really making a difference here to help keep the intensity level up. But unfortunately just unable to connect in their final third for both teams.
Launch to the midfield. Nicely played by the Wolfpack. They've got possession at the stripe, but good hustle there as the Princeton Tigers knock it free. Samantha McDonough, who's also on the field. makes the play there. Shepard lofts it high. Nice handle by Assam off the chest. McDonough circles back for it. Hopping and skipping over a defender was Tatum G. Now it's McDonough. McDonough blows by one. G at the chalk, trying to play it through, but she did enough to get a corner kick. And late here, just a minute plus to go, Tigers get a prime opportunity.
And G hasn't been able to get forward as much as she was last game. A lot more pressure on that left side there. So that's one of the first times we've really seen her get into the box.
They play it short. Davidson left it nearby. Now she's got it. Davidson for McDonough, drops it all the way out. Ewens, quick flick. Tigers trying to move it through, but it's punched all the way out. In front of Rikerson, now it's lofted over her head, and the Tigers must pursue in their own end of the field. G, back for Grassi, half minute to go. Hard pass. McDonough could not keep it alive. NC State's got an opportunity here if they want to push. And it looks like the Wolfpack will be happy to just run out the time here.
10, 9,
Less than 10 to go.
7, 6,
Bad pass, and Assam nearly had it. Or was it Matthews? Matthews
2,
was in the neighborhood.
0.
That could have been devastating. Well, the half has ended. 45 minutes are in the books. The middle of the half featured a lot of action. A pair of goals, one from each team, 19 seconds apart. And that's where we end the first half. So, Renee, both sides here, Tigers, really a story of two halves. Tigers got out to the great start. Their midfielders were really pushing up on forwards and the midfielders on the NC State side, and they were really doing more than anything, just collecting loose balls, forcing them into bad decisions, turnovers, and ended up being directly leading to one of their goals. The Tigers, though, lost their way there at the end of the half, really that back half of the half, where anytime there was any space for NC State, they were threading the needle, or were not far off on threading the needle on a lot of passes there. On the Princeton side, what needs to get better for them in half number two?
Yeah, well, Princeton has to keep that same possession and movement off the ball that they had in the beginning of the half. You saw a lot of times they had 3 and 4 options running off of players to really unbalance NC State's defense, and they forced the defenders of the Wolfpack to constantly be on their toes and talking to stay organized. Otherwise, they would have been in danger. And unfortunately for the Tigers, they did take their foot off the gas a little bit after they scored that goal, but we saw them end the half, picking up the momentum a little bit more.
On the NC State side, again, very sluggish to begin, but once they scored that goal, it was like the switch went on. Really, if you want to talk about who had the premier chances and the smoother, more tactful run of play, it was definitely NC State after they scored that goal. They put together some excellent threading the needle, foot-to-foot passing sequences for NC State. What did you see from them as far as moving into half number two?
Yeah, you make some great points. The difference was they stopped giving Princeton time to get their head up and find their options and giving them space. And once they did that, they forced some turnovers, and they were able to now regain possession and then create off of that. So we saw them getting King forward. We saw them finding Blackwood and different players in the space. They have a ton of speed up top, and that is what's trouble for Princeton's defense right now. They're moving quickly on and off the ball. So they have to continue that same high-intensity pressure on defense to create those chances offensively.
The score at halftime here on the Ivy League on ESPN. It's the number 20 team in the country, the Princeton Tigers, 1. The number 13 team in the nation, the NC State Wolfpack, 1. Step aside for a moment. When we come back, we'll give you some halftime stats, and we'll get you prepped for half number 2 in this top 20 battle here on the Ivy League on ESPN. Back in a moment.
Joint implants customized to match your unique anatomy. Advanced technology for precise navigation. And the only hospital in the capital region with Mako robotic arm-assisted surgery for increased accuracy and shorter recoveries. Make a difference in your knees, your hips, your life. RWJ Hamilton. Let's be healthy together.
It's really challenging when you're a young guy and you have an injury and you're dealing with the loneliness, the newness, the acclimation, and you feel like you've let everybody down. As you become a mature player and a leader, you deal with things and you move forward. And John has the tremendous ability to move to the next thing. So when you have an injury, you move forward to the rehab and you set goals about getting back. And I don't know in the last few years I've ever seen John have a bad day.
It was definitely tough to miss my senior year. Coach Gerace and the whole staff, Coach Gleason, the training staff has been nothing but supportive. Has really helped me along the way. Especially this spring, it was tough to not be enrolled as an Ivy League student. I was down in Florida training for half of that spring, and I would be FaceTiming Coach Gleason, still going over the plays and everything. And you know, getting back here this summer has been an incredible opportunity to be back with the guys all summer long, and now in training camp right now, back in full swing. It feels great.
People use the phrase, you know, John was a Swiss Army knife. It was like plug and play wherever you want to put him, he's going to do something athletic. I think it really crowned in 2016 because if you go back and you watch the film in some of his younger years, he was doing a lot of the same stuff, but it wasn't as polished. But in 2016, I was, you know, impressed by the attention that he gained from other teams' defenses, and we were managed to put him in some positions where he was able to kind of elude some of that extra attention and still be super productive beyond what most people remember about that season, which is all the rushing touchdowns he scored.
Occasionally you're around some guys that are the heartbeat of the team. You know, they're the pulse of the team, and John's the pulse of our team. You know, he is the high energy guy. He is exceptional as a leader. He is off the charts from a work ethic standpoint, is well respected by his teammates because of who they are as people and how hard they worked and what they did. And you know, he's also a high performer. When the top players on your team are your best workers and give the right message, you're in a good place as a head coach.
To be an Ivy League athlete, especially at Princeton, is an incredibly lucky experience. And really, every day in practice, that's a every single day mentality that, you know, we have 150 years of tradition here at Princeton. And, you know, there's a lot of guys, a lot of people out there that have, you know, set the path before us, and it's up to us to, you know, keep that tradition going and to, you know, make those guys proud and you know, come together as a team. I think we have a great group of guys here right now that are all bought in, and we're really looking forward to the season.
There's not a more competitive kid that I've ever been around than John Lovett. And I think that if people ask him to long snap, if people ask him to return kicks, if people ask him to play quarterback, they ask him to fill up the water bottles. He's going to try to do it better than any other person that's around him, and he's going to listen to whoever's directing him on how to do it. So he's very coachable, extremely competitive, and I think, you know, if you asked him to go play another sport, to do anything, he'd invest himself in entirely in what you were asking him to do, and I think he's going to be an asset on any team. You know, I'm positive of that.
They're all going to leave here, whether it's professional football or professional finance or whatever, professional lawyers. They're all going to turn into be pros, and the values they're getting are going to really, you know, turn into what they're going to be doing with the rest of their lives and their careers. In Johnny's case, his talent in football is good enough that he's going to be competing for that for a while.
I have an incredible love for this game. Football is my ultimate passion, and you know, I'm definitely looking to continue to play after Princeton, whatever role that may be, whether it's quarterback, H-back, special teams, you name it. I love the game, and I really want to continue to play it. But right now, I'm focused on, you know, fifth-year senior, put a lot into this, and really focused on, you know, winning a championship for Princeton right now.
Whoever said that the shortest distance between 2 points is a straight line never said anything about the quality of the ride. With Suburban Transit Coach USA, you can charter a luxury motor coach for all of your special occasions. From your wedding day to corporate events, sightseeing, trips to the casino, sporting events, and concerts. Enjoy free amenities on board, things like Wi-Fi, restrooms, and movies. So to book your charter anywhere in the US or Canada, just contact our sales office today.
The trick for us as athletes was to make those races at the Olympics, to sort of trick ourselves into thinking that those races at the Olympics were just like all the other races that we had raced. That was the advice our coach gave us, and that was sort of what you tell yourself. Like, I've been at the start line, I know what to do. It's sort of at that point like muscle memory. I think the magnitude of that race really hits you at the end. And even just thinking about that moment when we cross the line makes me like want to cry and brings up all these emotions because it's so painful and so joyous all at the same time. It's like the years and years of work that you've done leading up to that race, leading up to that moment where anything could happen. And it's like the relief finally of the stress and the unknown, and to know that you've achieved your goal and you have represented your family and your country and your coach and your teammates.
Oh, it's extremely special. And Caroline was a huge part of that team, and along with her teammates did something that has never been done in history.
You've achieved this great thing. You don't really have anything like stressful or pressing. It's just like you can enjoy the moment. So you have a few months, and then you kind of start having to think about, you know, what you want to do next. So I think you kind of have 6 months, a year, and then you kind of have to know whether or not you want to commit again to another Olympic cycle. I think winning, of course, helps draw people back to that, to try to go through that moment and have that moment again. It's just the most amazing feeling, and I was lucky enough to have that moment twice.
USA heading for gold, which everybody predicted, and the prediction is going to come true. It's gold for United States.
And it's not an accident, right? Like, you're like, how does this happen? Well, it's not an accident. It's the coach that can sometimes make that difference. And I think also, you know, feeding off of each other's mentalities and learning from our teammates, I think that also helps, you know? We pushed each other to be better and do better.
I mean, when she walked into the doors of Princeton, the Princeton Boathouse, I thank my lucky stars. She crushed every erg record we had at the Boathouse. She set a new standard for our team and for the teams to come. I attribute much of our success to her abilities and drive and successes and achievements when she came to the Princeton program.
My Princeton experience is like pivotal in my career since I've retired, and also my career going forward.
She put herself in that position where she was striving to be the best, always striving to be better. And it was a pure joy to coach her, and I imagine her teammates absolutely loved being in a boat with her, both at Princeton and on the national team.
It can't be because of any one person. It's really, like I always say, like, this is because there was a group of amazing women who had a like-minded goal and had the drive and the determination to make it happen. And so I feel like it's a lot of hard work and commitment and a little bit of luck that you are in a group of people who have that similar commitment. But I think it's the shared experience that really makes the difference.
Joint implants customized to match your unique anatomy. Advanced technology for precise navigation. And the only hospital in the capital region with Mako robotic arm-assisted surgery for increased accuracy and shorter recoveries. Make a difference in your knees, your hips, your life. RWJ Hamilton. Let's be healthy together.
Whoever said that the shortest distance between 2 points is a straight line never said anything about the quality of the ride. With Suburban Transit Coach USA, you can charter a luxury motor coach for all of your special occasions. From your wedding day to corporate events, sightseeing, trips to the casino, sporting events, and concerts. Enjoy free amenities on board, things like Wi-Fi, restrooms, and movies. So to book your charter anywhere in the US or Canada, just contact our sales office today.
Welcome back to Meislich Field at Roberts Stadium here in Princeton, New Jersey. This is the Ivy League on ESPN alongside former NCAA soccer player Renee Washington. I'm Jeff O'Connor. The Princeton University Tigers, number 20 team in the country, matching up with the number 13 team in the nation, the NC State Wolfpack, and both sides have a goal through 45 minutes of play as we're just moments away from kick here in half number 2. Some stats and numbers at halftime. We recap the scoring summary first. 22-46, it was Mimi Assam, her 5th goal of the year off a turnover by the back line of NC State. Abby Givens pitched the ball up to her a few yards, and she was able to sidestep around a drawn-out goalkeeper Wooten on the NC State side, and she stashed it home, her 5th of the year. And 19 seconds later was Paige Griffiths after a breakdown on the Tigers' back line. Maxine Blackwood found her across the box, and Griffiths slammed it home, her 1st goal of the season. Some numbers: shot attempts, 6-5 in favor of NC State. A pair of saves for Natalie Grassi as well as Sydney Wooten, both teams with 3 shots on goal. Fouls, 9-2 in favor of Princeton. That's been their calling card all year long. They've been the more aggressive team. They've picked up more fouls in just about every game they've played in. Corner kicks, 3-1 in favor of the Tigers. Offsides, 2-1. NC State has the edge there. And some individual numbers. Mimi Assam has 3 shot attempts. Juarez and Givens for Princeton. And all 3 of those players each have 1 shot on goal. And on the other side for NC State, they've got 6 shot attempts, 3 on frame. The shot attempts came from 6 different players. The shots on goal from Griffiths, who scored, Blackwood, and King, as we're ready to go here in half number 2. Tigers in their white and orange uniforms, the white socks. NC State in their gray and red uniforms, gray shorts, gray socks. As both teams want to avoid their first loss of the season. The Tigers are the last undefeated team left in the Ivy League in terms of the out-of-conference matchups. Columbia lost earlier today 2-1 to Denver. The Tigers the only one without a blemish on their resume, hoping to keep that going forward here in half number 2, and the Tigers will get first kick. Sam and Kennedy work it to the midfield and all the way back to the Tigers, and let's see, have both teams adjust here. We saw teams really make adjustments on both sides. Really was Princeton who made NC State look like they didn't belong on the same field in the first several minutes, and then it was NC State who really terrorized that Tiger backline. So both teams were able to adjust and find their games in spurts. Really kind of split the half pretty well there.
Yeah, definitely. And the biggest thing actually that'll make the difference in this game is defensively, both teams have to play smart. I mean, you can't give them any half chances. NC State had a bad decision there that led to Princeton goal, and Princeton got caught flat that led to NC State's goal.
Keogh. Low liner, rattled around for a moment. It went off a Tiger player off the initial clearing attempt. Now the Tigers can thrust it out to the midfield. Assam working 1-on-2. Swings it across the field. Gabby Juarez, who spent the last little bit of the half on the bench, she's on the field. And Emily Hilliard-Arce, who did not play in the first half and did an excellent job on Friday night anchoring that left side of the field, as this one's popped in for Assam. Left foot, far post, missed by a hair. And Assam, my memory serves me right, she had a similar chance really in the first few minutes of that first half. The Tigers get the first prime opportunity.
Definitely deja vu there. She did a great job bringing that ball down, and even with her back to goal, still creating a chance there.
Tiger fans have been out in full force since about midway of the first half. The noted cheering section behind the opposing goalkeeper. Flown all the way through. Tigers get ahead on it first. Volleyed forward. Rikerson propels it away. Fed all the way through. Givens fires and high. It was going over goal anyway, and I'm not sure Wooten was expecting a shot from that distance on the run like that. And perhaps nearly surprised her as the Tigers have had the first 2 attempts of the half.
And Jeff, we're already just a couple minutes into the second half, and the Tigers have 2 great looks at goal to start off the half. So definitely coming out the second half the way they started the first half.
Blackwood can't get a handle on that one. So instead it's taken on by the Tigers. Emma Davis getting swung around, but Princeton controls it. Neat pass through the legs, but it's taken away by King. King with Noonan on top of her up in the midfield. We'll see what type of matchups change or have altered as the Tigers have control. Givens directing traffic, trying to feed back door. Bodies bump. Noonan trying to bust free, and it was stopped anyway. She got the foul call, which is the right call. She was doing a bit of the pestering.
Yeah, we see Noonan playing high up the field this game. Last game against St. Joe's, she was in more of a holding role, and she does still drop back defensively, but she's looking to push up higher, and I believe that's Emma Davis that's actually sitting lower now for the Tigers.
So Wooten will kick it away. She's getting a workout here in the first few minutes. And Sean Driscoll having words with the referee, Mike DeFelice, over at the Tiger bench. Sean Driscoll, normally not a very animated, demonstrative coach from our vantage point up here, but when he does speak, makes his point known. Another ball in the middle of the field, and NC State corrals one for the first time, but only briefly. Rikerson wanted it all the way back, and even with no one around her, wants to really build it up here. As Grassi will take it and survey. Som over her head. This one's propelled forward. NC State really heading and volleying the ball around, not taking a great control of it, but Blackwood busts free. Tigers close in, and a great job by Ewens and friends to knock that one away and cut it off completely. And that was dangerous. The Tigers looked like the Red Sea had parted for Blackwood, and then about a step or two later, all four closed in on her and shut it down.
Definitely a great look there, and something that the Tigers have to look out for, that split there. We saw that happen sometimes in the first half where the Wolfpack's forwards were able to split through defenders.
That did certainly look like their weakness, those seam passes up the middle of the field, right between the center backs and the outside backs. As working in and out of trouble was Taylor Porter. Now some passes strung together here by NC State. The Tigers alert to it. Olivia Shepard will leave it for Grassi. Nearly 5 minutes gone by, first half. Up the field. Tigers doing a much better job of trapping and possessing in the middle of the field. This one's lofted forward. Race on for the end line, and an excellent job. Looked like Keogh who made the play. King gets her first touch of the half. Free in the midfield. And sends it forward. Shepard, though, aware. And a foul against Princeton here behind the play. The officials on the other side of the stripe.
Looks like that was a late call for King, and he tried to allow them to continue and see if they would keep possession, but they did not. So NC State is rewarded the kick.
Shepard steps in front of that one. And Davis will play it along. Juarez wants to backtrack. Middle of the field, Rikerson. Tigers being very careful that back line whenever they've received the ball. Don't want to make a silly mistake. They're going to make NC State work for everything. Grassi had to hurry it after some late pressure. Som bearing down. Steered the ball free for a moment. She got a piece of it. Porter got it free, but to no one in particular, and Rikerson rocks it back the other way. And Wooten takes no chances herself. Very methodical on both sides here when it hasn't been frantic in the midfield. Really, it felt like a wide open hockey game as we mentioned in the first half. A little bit slower of a pace here. Good trap by Juarez. Hilliard Arce, see if she makes a difference as well. The game against St. Joe's, and obviously St. Joe's isn't necessarily a top 20 caliber program. Long run here, and Wooten will pick it up at the edge of the 18.
Wooten and Grassi have both had to do a lot off their line in this game and cutting out any of those higher passes that we've been seeing to start off the half.
That was Givens who was hammering down on her. Played along by Noonan. Shepard has to hurry. Good pass for Hilliard Arce, but she couldn't trap it. Every possession, every touch of the ball feels critical the way this game has gone. That one's booted into the crowd.
And this is a nice matchup we have here on the near side between Hilliard Arce and Kia Rankin. That's a new matchup we've got this half.
Assam busts through a trio, holds on to it, and delays, and elects for the wide open Ewens. Ewens chips it, nobody home. Bounces freely through the midfield, though. And the Wolfpack able to charge upfield now. King, who had a heck of a high school career. 105 goals in her 4 years. She had 51 in her senior season. Led the state of New Jersey, and as a junior, off to another strong start.
And she's a name I've definitely heard before and someone to look out for. Not surprised she's had such a great career in college to start.
The junior, Shepard, bruising her up, loose near the flag. And Olivia Shepard nearly won that ball. Rankin leaves it wide. Shot towards cage. The Tigers got a foot in front of that. We got a whistle here. Is that a yellow card that came out there? Could not see it. The referee's hand was moving up quickly, and I don't think it was. Tigers will keep it.
Yeah, it looks like Rankin was a step offside there. She was trying to shield Hilliard Arce and got called for it.
Grassi laid that one into the midfield. Noonan did a nice job to strip that one away from Rankin. Juarez had no angle. Hilliard Arce steers that one neatly through the midfield. NC State very strong in their structure, and they forced the Tigers to kick it barely out of bounds. It bended around the chalk line. It landed on the white, but the actual sphere itself, while airborne, was out of bounds. Rankin, Hilliard Arce tying her up pretty good. Which again is not necessarily a terrible idea for the Tigers. It seems like the forwards on the NC State side have speed to outmatch the Tiger backline, so slowing down the pace and playing a little bit more of a positional game is not a bad idea for the Tigers, at least defensively.
Right, and they are looking to spin their defender every time they get in behind, and that is something that is dangerous for Princeton to look out for. So they are being a little bit more physical to try to force them back.
Drop behind, good hustle by Juarez. Hilliard Arce, who's a fresh body, has it back on her foot again and lays this one up the field for Assam. Not sure if that was a true dummy or not, but she let it go through. And then Assam with a lot of hand checking. She gets the benefit of a foul call there. I'm surprised. She had a lot more of an outstretched arm than her defender did. The defender on the play, that was Ella Bonner, and she was clearly taking some abuse there from Assam, but foul goes Princeton's way.
Yeah, we see in these next 10 minutes it has picked up in physicality a little. Crowd's getting into it. Players are getting into it a lot more.
Rikerson laid out into the midfield. Assam trying to size it up. And Assam's just stronger than just about everyone on the field, that lower body strength. Able to win that ball for Princeton. Hewens will pop it forward. Along the sideline. And great win there by the back line of NC State. This one's floated up the field. Shepard made the play. Battle on. A lot of... Boy, I'll tell you what. A lot of leaning here on both sides. Everyone trying to get that extra edge and body position here, and it's led to a lot more calls. And we've barely have played 11 minutes so far in the second half, and that one a little bit more obvious. And we get the whistle here, and one of the players for Princeton will get carded. Card goes to Eve Ewens. So she's got to be careful. Essentially, she's been matched up against King all game.
You don't mind that from this game. I mean, it's two top 20 teams They're both physical. They're both quick. Play good soccer. So I wouldn't expect this to be a pretty game. I'd expect it to be more intense and more of a battle.
Let's see if one of the minor stories to watch besides the scoreboard here, will Hewins continue to stay aggressive on King, or will she ease up knowing the card could be a factor? We'll see if that plays into her mindset as all, as this one's ripped through the midfield. Good job by Hilliard Arce as Rikerson. Suarez with a great trap. Hilliard Arce was directing traffic there. Neat move to play on through by Kennedy. Juarez has a lane. Guided it through for Assam, the dummy. Played on. Givens trying to get back on top of it, and finally it trickles out to the midfield. Tigers nearly made something great happen there. Hewins and King at the sideline. And King got the best of that jostling. King all the way through. She's decked from behind. Didn't hear a whistle though. And Grassi picked it up before the chalk line. Boy, talk about immediately being in a tough situation for Hewins, and somehow she avoided a foul there.
Right, and if you're Givens in the Tigers offense, you know that every chance you get in the box, you have to make count, because that quickly it's going the other way and it's King racing off at the other net. So definitely some frustration there, missing that cross that Juarez set across the box nicely.
Juarez able to catch up to it, one-on-one. And excellent defense there by the Wolfpack. They'll get the ball back. Here's the sideline, a 50-50 ball that went off Hilliard Arce last. It's Chrissy Schuster who made that excellent play before to halt Juarez, who's really a good 1v1 player. We've got bodies colliding, another card, and it's on Juarez.
Tough thing there for Juarez is she fouled right in front of the referee, so you can't even argue that. He had a front row seat to that foul. She knocked down Kia Rankin.
So Hewins and Juarez collect yellow cards within minutes of each other. In just about 2 minutes to be exact. Again, this is known. Tigers commit a lot of fouls, some good, some bad. And those two would certainly be in the bad category. King with Hewins. Great flick of the ball on. Here come the Wolfpack once more. And a good hustle back there by the Tigers. Might have been Givens. King on the giveaway. Slashes through. Holds on to it. King right near the side of the cage. Down goes a player on the NC State side. That was Rankin. She was leaned on a little bit, and Grassi able to ladle the ball.
Definitely a scary chance for the back line of the Tigers. But King and Kia do a great job combining on that left side. And then once King is in open space with her speed, it's trouble.
It was a great ball by Rikerson under pressure, but everybody collapsed on Assam. Juarez. Oh, bad touch. Back the other way they come. Chance here for Blackwood, and she's cut down. That was Rikerson who backed up the play, but a corner. Haven't been many of these today for NC State. They'll get one here.
NC State really taking their time to set this up. You don't normally see this, but they want to make sure they're executing it correctly.
Several players short. Top of the sixth, headed out all the way to the opposite sideline. The bounds, both players pointing for it. It'll stay with NC State. Under a half hour to play here in regulation. Both goals came in the first half. Assam, her fifth for Princeton, first for Griffith on the NC State side. Throw in short. Great touch on a cutter, and Tigers clear. Tigers had a lame touch on their back line there. Great intercept, though, by Shepard. King, though, restrips it for NC State. Filtered it on through. All the way into the box. Both bodies on top of it, and Grassi made a tight save. And there was a whistle as Grassi put the ball out in front of her as Rankin was in tight quarters. She was definitely held up a little bit, but not enough for a foul call because she had great spacing and positioning really right there on the 6.
And you can see even as NC State was swinging the ball, Rankin was already getting her positioning, shielding Hilliard Arce, but the referee right here on the sideline called a holding foul there.
Long ball ahead. Tigers in pursuit. Givens. And Wooten cleared it away and out of bounds. The Tigers get a deep throw in here. There hasn't been a lot of activity down on that side of the field. Ewens will toss it. Cut away immediately. And back out to the midfield where it's taken by Blackwood. She gets battered by a few Tigers. Kennedy can't slip through. Couple of neat passes before the Tigers recollect. Rikerson all the way through. Kennedy leaves it. Assam is wide. Assam. And out of bounds. Deep throw from about the 6 extended for Princeton. Assam knocked off the ball by King. She'll clear it up the field. Long way to chase back for this one. It'll have to be Grassi. Rikerson gives it a ride. Defended well by Bonner. Juarez with an overlapping Hilliard Arce. Fed on through. Down goes the Tiger. And no call, or was there? As down to the turf went Givens. No, it's going to be a throw-in, so no call. Juarez.
Surprising, no call there.
Juarez using as much space as she can into the middle. Popped back in on a head. Tigers rattling it around. And finally, it's laid out to the midfield.
Princeton putting a lot more pressure on NC State's back line. You see they're just clearing it, just trying to get it out of their 18, out of danger. And the Tigers coming right back at them.
Tigers errantly send it out of bounds. So they'll go back to NC State. This has a big game feel to it. Number 20 Princeton, number 13 NC State. Met up exactly a year ago. Tigers took one on the road, 2-0. And then went back to North Carolina for the NCAA tournament against the same Wolfpack. And the Tigers won in penalty kicks. Tigers have won every matchup with NC State. This is the 4th time they're meeting. They even won back in 2014. That was a 5-3 win right here at Roberts Stadium. So they've never lost to the Wolfpack. This being their 4th meeting in less than 5 years. Tigers trying to pick their way through. Flopped out to the midfield for Ewens. Did enough to lay it forward. Kennedy surveying. And she caught Assam flat-footed. Waited a little too long to pull the trigger. So with that, it's taken on by King. King dangerously to the middle. Tigers won that battle. And again, that's the second time Juarez has taken a shot to her face. And again, it's because she plays a little bit lower to the turf with the way she runs and tries to get body position. And she's down on the field, and she'll be checked on. Now comes the athletic trainer for the Tigers, Jasper Chang, to check on Juarez.
It definitely looks like she took a forearm to the face there as she was trying to step in front of Rankin, who once again hit her right. She got hit right in the face. It looked like the same spot she got hit in the first half, too.
First half was a play along the sideline. This one in the middle of the field. Clock stops with 24:51 to go. As the Tigers finish out this pair of home weekends. Next time, we'll have a broadcast of Princeton soccer here on ESPN. It'll be a week from today, Sunday, September 9th. The Tigers will take on Hofstra. That's a 7 o'clock game, and we'll have that for you here on ESPN+. And for NC State, their next contest will be on Thursday. We'll play George Washington at home. It's a 7 p.m. start time down in North Carolina. And this looks like this might take a little bit of time, as both teams have headed to their respective benches for at least a moment. Juarez, freshman from Tustin, California. Really one of the big name freshmen on the team this year for Princeton. And Juarez is up on her feet. And again, not really a lower body injury, so she seems good to stay in, unless by rule she has to come off, which may end up being the case. I think she wanted to stay in by rule. I believe you go down for an injury and the whistle blows, you got to come off.
Yeah, definitely when there's anything that involves your head, they have to take you off and make sure you're okay on the sideline before you go back in usually. I don't blame her for wanting to stay on the field, though.
So she's off. Samantha McDonough comes on, number 7 in white and orange.
Number 7, Samantha McDonough for number 15.
Let's slow the pace down. Let's see if that changes the vibe of this game as all. As Rikerson will take a free kick. Lays it in. Good ball. And headed away out to the far side. Davis gave a bump to Walkling. And that was enough for Walkling to have the last touch on it. So Princeton will take. Kennedy against Walkling, and Kennedy kept it alive and kicked it off of Walkling. So a deep throw in. Good job there by McDonough, fresh into the game. Played short. Popped into the 18. It rattled around. And it'll be cleared away. That was Schuster. Rikerson has to really hustle after this one, and now he can pull up a little slower. Hilliard Arce.
And we saw in the first half the injury that happened in the corner actually helped both teams get a drink and regroup, and they came back stronger. So interesting to see it all happen here.
Tough ball in the corner. Assam in pursuit of it for Princeton. And the ball went off the Tigers last. So deep throw from their own end for the Wolfpack. Played short, out of bounds. That was a tight ball, but they'll say off Princeton again.
Rankin pulls a lot of fouls the way that she plays. She looks to shield and hold balls up, and it makes it tough for a defender to get around her, forcing them to have to foul. We've seen here on our near side here, pulling a lot of fouls against Princeton.
So after all that, they'll lay it back for Wooten this time. Now some space to operate. Good shielding of the ball there, but it's going to go out of bounds. But it went off a Tiger. NC State just outside the attacking third. Walkling shoots it up the sideline, but the Tigers well stationed in front of that. Noonan, though, duffed it out of bounds. Wolfpack ball. Played short. NC State trying to reverse the field. Bonner. Kennedy nearly forced her into a bad play. Tigers hot on the pursuit there. Hurried ball, but well handled by King. Great back heel pass. The sideline stashed through. Here's King cutting through, but the Tigers close the angle. Noonan lays it up for Assam. Assam has space for a moment. Busting through to the middle of the field. Assam powering on by. Here's Mimi Assam into the 18. Tried the cross, cut down, but a corner coming. What a take by Assam from just about midfield to create a corner for Princeton.
Yeah, great burst of speed there to split two NC State defenders and create a corner kick chance. So now Princeton has an opportunity to knock one home.
Fourth corner for the Tigers this evening. Kennedy will take it from the far flag. Glen Ridge, New Jersey native lines it up. On the way. Rattled around. Top of the 18. Shepard thought about it. Flips it through, but Bonner's able to drive it away. Not sure if Shepard had an angle maybe to give it a ride on that first go. She took an extra touch and then everything closed up. Laid into the box again. Assam was in the neighborhood, but guided away. Bonner. Played short for Ewens. She'll pivot away. Davis got it back for Rikerson. Neat move. Plays it with her off foot and didn't get it where she wanted it to, but Hilliard Arce traps it. Short side. McDonough through. And Noonan couldn't get it much further. It came out for a moment, but that's because it looked like there was a foul call there against McDonough. Tigers lurking there. Just about one pass away from really creating something dangerous. Coming up on 20 to go. Ewens a bit too heavy. And all the way back for the Wolfpack. Butler. Walkling. Keogh. Got it for King. A lot of passes. This is when it gets a little bit dangerous for the Wolfpack. Walkling. All the way back, and Wooten really had to hurry that one, and she just had to drive it out of bounds. Good job by Assam and everybody else up front on Princeton.
Great patient defending, forcing NC State back, and honestly making them having to go all the way back to Wooten to force it out of bounds.
Ewens will toss it for Princeton. Gets it immediately back. High in the air. Davis stepped forward. Punch to the perimeter. Blackwood. All the way back for Walkling. And even further from Porter. This one heading out of bounds. Heavy touch from Schuster, and out of bounds it goes. Tigers, not just energy, but positionally sound, really dominating this corner of the field. Davis went off a leg. Assam couldn't trap it, comes rolling out wide. McDonough with Hilliard Arce. Nice move by McDonough to free up space. Hops around a defender. Hilliard Arce at the flag. Delays. Sees a double. It's off for McDonough. Stashed it off one more time. It's Rikerson. That big left foot drives it. Header, and Wooten was waiting.
But again, the Tigers defense forces this turnover to have NC State kick the ball out of bounds over here. And then they were able to capitalize on it and get a good look on net.
And with that, everybody having to defend for NC State, so they may be a little bit tired up front as well, even if they do get a possession here. And immediately, Tigers back on the hunt for the ball, and they get it free. It's Assam. Plays it on forward. Noonan nearly dumped. Keogh, a nice play, and lobs it for King. Now with space. King a long drive on sides here. Grassi is way out. It's popped over her. Collision outside the 18. And we have the whistle. And Grassi is red carded, and she is gone.
Wow. Was not expecting that.
Trying to pick up the NC State number. But Natalie Grassi, who had her shutout streak ended earlier in the match, and now has been dispatched from the game.
That's a tough one. That's a 50-50 ball. If Grassi doesn't get a touch on that, it's a goal. Not saying she fouled on purpose, but a red card there, I'm very surprised. I would expect a yellow.
I guess the point being there's already been several yellows, and did that measure up to a yellow card that's already been called tonight?
I don't know about that. I know she definitely was trying to play the ball to clear it. Not like she maliciously grabbed her and pulled her down, but hey, that's how the game goes sometimes, I guess.
Grossi makes the slow walk off the field.
Now this is a tough situation. You can't sub here. What do you do to get a goalie in net, especially with a team like NC State attacking? I think they're warming something up right now.
Looks like Paige Griffiths is the player down for NC State. She scored that game-tying goal, really shifted the momentum in this game. If she doesn't score, who knows how this game goes? Maybe Princeton runs away and hides and adds a few more goals in that first half, but she immediately stifled the momentum Princeton had over those first 20 minutes, which paid off in a goal, and she responded and totally turned this game on its head on a 180, which saw NC State the far better team in the last 20 minutes. As Sean Driscoll calls his team over, having to regroup here.
That's a game-changing play right there for both teams. So if I'm Sean Driscoll, I'm definitely trying to figure out how we bounce back from that. And then obviously for NC State, if they lose a player here, that's also tough. They've already lost Lulu Gutenberg, and that's another player down. That's a main cog in their wheel.
Now, Natalie Grossi in her third season here. During her tenure, the Tigers have barely had any other goaltenders touch the field. Last year, Nolani Kong-Johnson played one game for 90 minutes, and that was a out-of-conference matchup after the Tigers really were set up well pretty much the whole season after they raced out to that 6-0 start. And in 2016, when Grossi was a freshman, she started every game, all 17 of them. She only yielded the net. Out of a total 1,619 minutes, she only gave up the net for 83 minutes and change. So during her time here, she has only left the net for 173 minutes, which equates to less than 2 games since she started as a freshman back in 2016. This is still a long pause here from Griffiths. Didn't see really where the collision was. It was basically full body for the most part.
Yeah, it definitely looked like Grossi got a hit on her knee there, and you saw Griffith kind of land funny. So I wouldn't be surprised if it's a knee injury of some sort, but it's good to see her up and moving.
And walking off gingerly, but mostly on her own. Pretty much all on her own. So good to see Griffiths up. Now that foul, as we go back to things here, is right around the 18.
You talk about the momentum of games, the up and down roller coaster of it. That's one that will definitely change the game. There's 17 minutes left. That's a lot of time left in this ball game. And to have a change like Grossi coming off the field, that hurts a little for Princeton.
And the Tigers will make the goaltending change they need to, and that's Nolani Kong-Johnson, who has not played at all this year. She played the one game last year. She's a senior. She's from Honolulu, Hawaii.
Well, of course, also Princeton is now a man down, which also makes the game that much harder. This is a top 13 team in the country are playing a man down.
This rolls out, hammer shot, really duffed for the most part, and it's played out wide. Kennedy controls it. And out of bounds it goes. So with the red card, the Tigers just 9 field players and a goalkeeper here for the final 16 and change. Kong-Johnson played one game last year, as we mentioned. She played the full 90 minutes against Ryder. She made one save and got a shutout. This one goes out of bounds. It'll be a deep throw in. And Kong-Johnson played 28 minutes against Cornell in 2016. And 2015 played 2 non-league games against Army, West Point, and Lehigh. That was before Grossi was here. She went the full 90 in each. and shut out Lehigh in that contest. Her career numbers, just under 300 minutes, a .3 goals against average, a .917 save percentage. She's 3-0, but again, limited time. And this will be limited time perhaps as well. So we'll see if this game ends in the regulation 90. How do the Tigers respond here off that really earth-shattering moment for them? They've rarely played without Grassi in net. They've rarely played a player down. And they're working here.
With the way NC State pressures and moves the ball, to be a man down against them is tough. This is definitely a tall task for them. A good early season challenge, but definitely not the way they wanted this game to go. You want to be able to have 11 strong players out there as much as possible.
In for Princeton, now on goal, number 6, Noelani Johnson. And for NC State.
And can the Tigers,
number 19,
how will they react? Will they play conservative? Will they push for a goal? Will they pick their spot? No control here. At some point, they'll have to at least try and put NC State on their heels a little bit to back them off all that pressure they're currently getting on their back line. Shepard, high pitch, and this may be the play. Try and throw deep balls down the field and let Assam make something happen. And that happens almost immediately. Bonner took a bad touch with Assam on top of her, and with it, a corner for Princeton. That might be the play, is force that NC State backline to touch the ball as much as possible. Tigers make a change here. Courtney O'Brien in the game. O'Brien, who was a big role player for the Tigers last year. She's played in 2 games thus far, the 3. She's got 5 shots, so we did not see her last night. Perhaps can be a spark here. On the way. Rattled around, volleyed high in the air. McDonough couldn't pull the trigger. Hilliard Arce tried the half bicycle. That didn't go anywhere. Hilliard Arce and King at the chalk, and Hilliard Arce widely holds possession. Wanted King to make the first move. Bad pass by Rikerson, a rarity for her. And immediately the ball turned over with 13.5 to go. NC State, a little trouble in their own end of the field, even though they're up a man. Launched up the field, Rikerson lets it go through for Kong Johnson. And again, this is where a little bit of inexperience comes into play here. Normally Rikerson can make 1 point, and she knows Grassi's going to chase it down. There was a back and forth struggle in terms of communication, and Kong Johnson hesitated before she finally came out.
Yeah, she's going to have to do a lot of talking back there, because a lot of that keeper backline trust comes on your communication and being able to rely on each other and being on the same page. So early on, she's going to have to make her presence known by
King
talking.
got it through. Opportunity here for Schuster. 1 extra pass, a second one. It's free in the 18. Slide tackle out wide. O'Brien picks it free, but gray shirts surrounding. Played through, barely a deflection, and Kong Johnson picked it up.
We didn't see O'Brien in Friday night's game. It looked like she was even in sneakers at one point, possibly maybe an injury or something there that they were saving her for tonight. So she might be that spark, excited back to be on the field and be that difference maker that they need.
Turnover there. O'Brien for the Tigers last year. She had 9 goals in 20 games. 9 goals in under 900 minutes, which is pretty impressive. That's close to a goal per 90 number. In fact, it's better than a goal per 90. Played up the field. King slips around Rikerson. Ziara King, short side, and she shanked it. The pressure came late. I believe that was Shepard who tried to cover up for Rikerson. And really, she got there as King was unleashing it. That was just a straight-up shank. I don't think really that was that much pressure from Shepard.
She definitely mishit that, but this is where the problem comes being a man down. You can easily find yourself unbalanced in a 2v1 situation, and defensively, especially if King is one of those two, you do not want that to happen for Princeton if you're any of the backs.
Tatum G comes on for McDonough. That ball played on the ground. And it's knocked forward. G, though, can't catch up to it. King volleys it forward. Blackwood on the run, able to scoop it up. Into the middle, King. Bounced off a Princeton defender. Still free. Again, a little bit of trouble communication there. It's finally Davis who handles it. O'Brien has possession. Fresh legs out there. Nearly blows by. Ties up her opponent. They do blow it dead. So I guess that's better than a quick counter coming from NC State if you're on the Princeton side. King sidesteps Rikerson. All the way through. King, backdoor feed, free in the 18. And finally it's slammed up the field by Rikerson. Tigers center backs, we know they're a man down, but they're starting to get cut up a little bit on that interior. And NC State certainly feeling the momentum. Walkling. Ball pinballing around. Walkling again. Tigers can steer to the outside. O'Brien played it up the middle. That's turned over.
And you see NC State pushing everyone forward except their two center backs. They now have that ability since they are a player up. And they're really putting the pressure on Princeton's defense.
NC State worked pretty hard there. A little bit fatigued. And now Princeton, some time for a moment here. A quick give and go, hoping for G. Got that inside position and then lost it. Walkling on the far side of the field. Chance here for Rankin. Hewins catches up to her though. And believe Hewins got fouled. She had the better body position there. The Tigers can very much slow the pace down.
Eve Hewins has been lights out at right back for Princeton right now, and you see her there just using her body to get that position and make it an easy play that turned into a foul. Now they're going the other way.
Tigers keep it on the ground. It goes off a boot and out of bounds. Under 7 to play. Substitutions on the NC State side. Van Manen is in for Blackwood, and Tui is on for Rankin. Which is interesting because we know Rankin is one of the more dangerous players. He's got 2 goals on the season. And Blackwood is a distributor. She's got 2 assists on the season. That's tied for the team lead. Perhaps not thinking of overtime, but Tim Santoro hoping that the longer this game goes, it'll actually benefit his team, though you're trying to win now. The longer this game goes, that'll benefit his crew. Long ball. Kong Johnson and King tied up. Free ball cleared off the line. Kong Johnson got into a side-by-side matchup there with King, and that ball bounded free. Tigers survive.
I think maybe with this, the way that NC State is pressuring Princeton, they think by getting some fresh legs, getting Blackwood and Rankin a break will allow them to get some fresh legs in and then get them back out there ready to go. See if they can put this one away.
Walkling. Quick move, stuck it through a pair. King can't go through that last interior. And a shot went wide, but it was in a danger zone again. Corner kick is coming up. 3rd one of the game for NC State, coming up on 7 minutes to go. From the far flag. Short. King. Ewens draped on her. King got rid of it and went out of bounds. Went off a Tiger, though. Another corner kick coming up.
Princeton's defense is really getting tested right now, and they're doing a good job right now of keeping them tight, but it's got to be scary for their backs.
Michaela Van Monen will take it again. Junior keeps it short. Looks like she slipped a little bit. Got through for King, though. King stepping through. Free. Bonner squares it up and scores. Ella Bonner, the senior. Sometimes those are the best type of corner kicks. It just bounces to a spot that is not going to be covered on the field, and Bonner drives it through, and it's 2-1 NC State.
Now, we saw Ella Bonner come in the first half for Lulu Gutenberg when she was injured, but the surprising part to me is the fact that she was able to take 3 touches to settle the ball, set it up, and put it in the back of the net without a single player pressuring her there.
Bonner, her first goal of the season, her first goal since her freshman year. Her second career goal, what a huge one it is.
Yeah, for NC State, that could not have come in at a better time. Right place, right time, and she buried it.
Wow, the Tigers down a goal, down a man. How can they turn this around in the final 5 minutes and change? Booted up the field, hoping for Assam, but there's about 4 gray jerseys in her area. Bonner beats her to the punch, but a foul call.
You know, and Assam was able to create that foul, but there were about 6 gray shirts around her and no Princeton teammates in sight as an option. So fortunately for the Tigers, they were able to at least get a free kick out of it.
Rikerson from a ways away. Rikerson squaring it up. And it dies in the middle of the 18. Walkling. King calling from it for way out there, and she's on the run with it. Ewens trying to track her down. She busts free. King. Shot! Score! Her 5th goal of the season, the New Jersey native has perhaps put this one away. 3-1 the score, NC State. They've scored the last 3. Boy, from about just a quarter of the way up the field, King called for that ball from Walkling. She hit her on the run. She left Ewens behind. Shepard tried to cover up. Johnson came out, but she just squeaked it through, and it is now 3-1.
And I'll tell you what, King is an impressive player. I've seen her play when she was in high school, and to see how she's able to command the field around the box, she is dangerous.
Tigers not giving up just yet. O'Brien got it through, comes back out for volleyed into the Bucks, and now high in the air. Comes through. Noonan couldn't take it. G could. Davis can't sidestep. Able to possess it, though, just for a moment longer. And it's launched out to safety. Tigers will take it, though, throwing at the NC State bench.
Princeton's still working hard. They just lost a little steam as soon as that play happened at the 17-minute mark, and we saw a big change there with Grassi going out.
Goals come a minute 22 apart for Bonner and King. Up the field. Ricky Walkling gets an assist on that as well. And well, you don't see assists very often from just a quarter up the field, but that's what happened on that play. And now NC State can do what they'd please. They can continue to up the pace like they have been. They can slow it down. Plenty of options for Tim Santoro's group. Up 2 with just over 3 to go.
For Princeton, you hate to see the game go this way, but it is a great learning lesson to be able to compete with 10 players on the field with the injuries and different things that have happened. That does speak a lot to the longevity of their season, and this is a great experience for them.
King kicked that ball away after the foul call on her, and now G Tigers time of the essence here. G put everything she could on that. Took a bounce off a Wolfpack player. Tigers will throw. And somewhere in there, a whistle against Princeton. It'll go back to the Wolfpack.
Wow, foul throw called against Tatum G there. That's surprising.
And now NC State with plenty of gray jerseys back on their own end of the field. Nearly got her foot caught in the turf. And that was by Madison Klein. The freshman nearly coughed that one up. Still a ways away from goal, but anything can happen the way these two teams have pushed up the field tonight. There are 2 to go. Can the Tigers get on the board and at least give themselves an opportunity? Tiger down on the ground after a collision. That's Abby Givens, but she got up immediately. Clock does stop with $1:45 to go. That was a free kick, not in the most premier spot, but it is a chance. Rikerson, as she normally does, will tee it up. Tigers need a bounce here of some kind. Rikerson, hard, low, liner, rattles around, and it comes out. Volleyed for Assam. She's bumped off the ball by Bonner. They both go for the ball out to the midfield. Hilliard Arce got rid of it in time. Whistle blows as Hilliard Arce was fouled. Looked like the officials there were caught in between whether they wanted to let them play advantage or not. But so be it. The clock stops, or it starts to run again here.
It looks like there could have been advantage there with Courtney O'Brien as she turned, but I think you're right. They didn't know whether to call it right away or not.
So Rikerson again here. We're coming up on a minute to go.
1 minute remaining.
Rikerson didn't get all of that, but she'll try and catch up to this one. It's out of bounds, and that will probably do it. Rikerson shot it forward. Davis won it to the midfield. Noonan drops it back. About a half minute to go. Out of the reach of Assam. Up the field, Kong Johnson. Nice job to play it on a tricky hop as time continues to dwindle. This one's going to go out of bounds. And barely a touch or two left of the ball here.
7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Well, that's it. A really entertaining game between these two teams. It was 1-1 at halftime. We were deep into the second half before a red card was issued to Natalie Grassi, the goalkeeper of Princeton, which forced them to put in a reserve goalkeeper, took a player off the field, and it wasn't long after that that NC State scored a pair of goals in under a minute and a half to win this one. So you hate to see those things happen and like to keep it a level playing field and see how it would have played out, but give credit to NC State, Renee. They took advantage of a Princeton mistake, a mistake that cost them personnel on the field, and they took advantage of it. They were the better team, and they played like it with the man up.
And with a game like this, both teams had some dynamic forwards and attackers, so defensively you had to be solid in the back. And once that happened at a 17-minute mark, and we talked about that being a game-changing moment, and it was. Nolani Kong Johnson came in. She did her best, but it wasn't even just that. It's the fact that they are playing a man down against a team like NC State. And there's only so many punches you can take before you fall, so to speak.
And on the other side for Princeton, Renee, do you kind of just wipe this one away and say, hey, it would have been probably a better outcome if we hadn't taken a foul there, though the Tigers did take a lot of fouls tonight, not just the red card. There was 2 other yellow cards issued. We saw one go to Eve Hewins, and the Tigers collected a total of 3 cards tonight. We talked about it on Friday that sometimes fouls are not necessarily a bad thing. You're playing aggressive. You're kind of forcing the issue a little bit? Is that something the Tigers need to perhaps clean up a little bit? I know the red card was up for a decision there, but they did pick up 3 cards tonight in general.
Right, and I look at it as there are a lot of what-ifs, but what could they have changed offensively? Some of those crosses that went across the box that nobody knocked home, defensively tightening up a little bit and not taking their foot off the gas after that first goal. There are a lot of different factors that led to this outcome. Definitely the red card is the most obvious with them losing a player and your keeper, but this is a great learning experience, and it is early in the season, so they'll definitely bounce back from this.
Natalie Grassi took that foul in the 73rd minute. 10 minutes later, it was 2-1 thanks to the goal by Ella Bonner. And then moments later, it was Ziara King who made it 3-1 and ended this contest. And both teams will get back into action next week. The Princeton Tigers dropped to 3-1 on the season. The NC State Wolfpack now 5-0-1 on the year. So for my partner, Renee Washington, I'm Jeff O'Connor saying so long from Meislich Field at Roberts Stadium in Princeton, New Jersey, where the final score is the number 13 team in the country, the North Carolina State Wolfpack 3, and the number 20 team in the country, the Princeton University Tigers 1. All games airing on the ESPN networks are streaming live and archived on the ESPN app. This has been a